Hey, everyone. Okay, so we have lots of stuff to talk about today. If we run a little bit out of time, don't worry, we'll continue next class. But it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of action-packed stuff, so I just want you to hang in there with me. What we're going to do this time, so I kind of broke it up into two sections. The first is going to be calling on agents to get the appointment, and the second is the appointment itself. So what I'll do is drop your questions in the chat, and then after the call section, we'll do questions about calls and scripting and things like that, and then we'll do the meeting section and then do additional questions. If you have just random questions that are not related to calling or the agent meeting, throw them in the chat and we'll go back at the end. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, so let me share my screen here. Okay, so like I said, we're going to do realtor call and meeting today. So this is going to be real estate agent specific. We'll talk about referral partners and other types of people later on, but today I want to focus just on agent calls, agent meetings, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So today what we're going to do, we're going to do a little recap of last week because I want to hear how the week has been going, what you guys have been up to. Then we're going to talk about things that we need to do to prep for the call, the actual call itself, and then the meeting. So sound good to everyone? Let's talk. How was last week? I'm going to pop out of here really quick so I can see your face. Don't be shy. What happened last week? What did we do?
I'll go.
Yeah, perfect.
So I had a couple really good coffee appointments. I've struggled with getting people to complain because I think in my normal world, it's just not something that I am used to doing. I always sort of breeze onto the positive. And so it's different to sort of try to get people to complain. But I had a couple of really good coffee appointments where I got them sort of talking about what they've experienced with their lender. I kind of got lucky. One of them, she had to use one of her lenders personally and had a not so good experience. And so that sort of led her to think, well, if they're doing this to me and I send them business, how are they with my clients that I'm sending them? So that was a good win for me. Not just that, but being able to feel more comfortable in getting them to start like complaining or just speaking about their experience. So that was a win in that sense. And then also we started doing this LinkedIn drip. And that's been interesting, but also from that, I've gotten a handful of coffee appointments for this week that I have set up. So I'm really excited about that. I had some questions for you that I can pop into the chat and we can go back, but I don't want to take up too much time on me, but it's been a learning experience for sure. But I do have like, I think 8 coffee appointments this week, 2 being today from that alone. So
Awesome.
Excited about that.
And for the LinkedIn drip that you're doing, what does that entail? So what does that messaging look like?
So for us specifically right now, we recently just partnered with a university here and we've become their exclusive mortgage lender. So the idea was to create the drip, announcing the partnership and announcing, that we would like to be partners with alum from that university as a way to sort of like keep it in the community, keep it in the family, work together. And so that's been the basis of the drip, which is pretty cool and I guess exciting to a lot of people. So it's working.
That's awesome.
I mean, there's plenty of people that are like, go pound sand, but for the majority, there's some positivity coming out of it.
Sure. And it's a numbers game, right? So
yeah,
like your calls, guys, the more you do, the more success you're going to have. The goal is to have as many conversations and face-to-face as possible because that's going to increase your success rate. Sarah, is it on your personal LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that's a good homework item that's not going to be on the list today, but go follow Sarah's LinkedIn so you can see what she's doing.
Yeah.
If we have time at the end, I'll let you kind of talk a little bit more about details, because I think that's an awesome out of the box kind of thought process of how to get some realtor partners.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Do we have any wins?
Go.
Yeah, Ben.
Hi, everybody. I'm BK. I apologize I missed last week, but I did watch the replay and do the homework, so I'm all caught up and ready to go.
Good job.
So my win was I do a monthly networking event that I kind of host, and it's not like, you know, a tip group. It's just anybody can come kind of a thing, just cheeks and seats, I like to say. And somebody randomly found me on Eventbrite, and they were realtors. So it was like, hey, that's absolutely fantastic, because usually realtors don't come to it. You squeeze the people that come to get more realtors. But yeah, so that was an absolute win. They were brand new in my state from Arizona, so they were successful in Arizona, coming here and following up with them and putting them on the Focus 40 call list.
Awesome. Love it. Congrats. Who else? Let's do two more. Yeah, Ayala.
So I'm still transitioning from my old position to this new one. I'm teaching somebody. So I didn't have any appointments last week, but I utilize my social media, Facebook, and I just put an ad on Facebook pretty much. Hey guys, I'm in this new position. I would love to learn who your realtors are. Please drop a name, send them my email. I posted my card, my business card, and I have to tell you, I had like 30 names by the end of the day. And then not only was my Facebook, but my Messenger as well. Like people who didn't want to drop names for everybody to see. So they messaged me privately, and I have 3 appointments this week, tomorrow and Wednesday, that I'm starting. But it's a little intimidating because one of the realtors that I am going to be meeting tomorrow does $1 million properties. And I'm thinking, like, I'm a newbie. What am I going to offer her? And she's been in the business for so long. So that's my thought, but I think that I have to overcome that and like sell myself to the point where I'm confident, but I lack the confidence a little bit.
Don't lack the confidence. The process is the same, whether it's a $100,000 property or a $5 million property, you're the prize. Okay.
Right.
So for anyone that's feeling like, hey, I'm new and I can't do this, it doesn't matter about the loan programs that you've got. It doesn't matter about, you know, all these little tiny loan details. You are the prize. And if the person likes you, that's where the relationship is. Okay. So get out of your head, go listen to some pump up music. You are amazing. You wouldn't be in this position if you didn't have the perfect personality for this job. So we can't wait to hear about your meeting next week.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. And I was like floored on how social media, like I just put a post out there and randomly all of the people that I know, I all kind of have 30, 40 names that I'm going to now research them, call them, email them, and then start that. And then utilize, of course, what we use is Total Expert to track them. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good
job.
Thank you.
Sean.
I just wanted to help or talk to Ayala. So the same conversation you have with your other realtors is the same conversation you have with like the whales. Like I remember when I first started, I started at the bottom of the list that I got. So I reached out to realtors. They were doing like 3 or 4 deals, and then the top, all the whales were at the top. I started at the bottom, and I realized, you know what? After a few months, I jumped to the top. It was the same conversations you have with the same people, and honestly, they're a little better to work with too. So don't let their volume of what they do like deter you from reaching out to them or whatever. Again, you are the prize, and you'll get probably a lot better with the whales or the people who do higher end business than the people who don't, because they're seasoned. They've been doing this a lot longer. Just build that connection with them, and you'll be fine.
Yep. Awesome. All right, one more win. What do we got? Someone give me a win here. Yeah, Tony.
There we go. Had to figure out how to unmute. So went through, did my homework, and it helped me reconnect to a few people that I hadn't really, or I actually just lost track of. So reached out, and one of them was kind of a practice call because it was a person that I knew from my Chamber of Commerce days, and she told me that, well, hey, I just got my real estate license 3 weeks ago, and I have an appointment with somebody Saturday. Do you think that you'd be available to come and talk about the loan process? I'd be happy to. So we met for coffee, and the client decided to hire my realtor and submitted an application for pre-approval through our website. So that I thought was a great win for me.
That's awesome. That's a huge win. Congrats. And I think you guys have to remember too, everything that you do is going to show up within 60 to 90 days from now, okay? So the more people you see, the more phone calls you have, the more meetings that you attend or networking groups, the more likelihood there is for success. So keep your activity levels high because you're going to have an opportunity, but it's a numbers game. And we'll continue to work on the scripting and how you close those appointments. But in the meantime, pack your calendar. And if it's not a realtor that you're meeting with, that's okay. As you're getting ramped up, ask that person who they know that's a great real estate agent. Just like Ayala was saying, who do you know that's a great real estate agent? That's a warm introduction for you as a business development person, okay? All right, let's get moving. We got lots of stuff. Okay, so let's talk about getting ready for your phone calls to real estate agents. As we talked about last week, qualified agent is going to be 8 or more buy sides in the past 12 months. So it doesn't have to be a calendar year. For the last 12 months, that's what we're looking for. We want to make sure they have enough buyers to send you. And if someone's really loyal, we're assuming that we get half of those deals. So if they have 8 and they can send you 4, that's what they're probably going to do. So if we're looking at metrics, that's how I look at my agents that I'm going after. So if you do not have a list yet of agents that meet that criteria, you can talk to your title companies. They're able to pull that list, or if your company has MTA or MMI, which is a tracking system that we can track agents' production, you can pull that list individually as well for a specific area. So you can pull it by zip code, you can pull it by city. I have my title person pull about 4 different cities, and I'm constantly having them send me a new list every month to see if there's anyone that's added onto that list. So once they're called, then you move them onto your tracker list. And I'll explain what that is in a second. I actually made it for you so you guys have something that you can utilize if you don't have a system in place. But the tracker list is kind of cool because we're going to take all of those calls and track to make sure we're being consistent. Because the more consistent you are as the business development person, the more likely that agent is to use you. Because I can't tell you how many agents I've picked up because a lender hasn't called them in 6 months or just doesn't follow through on what they're going to say. The numbers are important, but the consistency is even more important in locking in that relationship. So on this tracker, I'm going to pop it up here on my screen in just a second. Show you exactly what I do. I'm going to send this to you as well when we do the recap and with the recording in the email. So you'll get a copy of this and you can make it to whatever you'd like. So I've got 2 tabs here. One is going to be the qualified agent. I basically put my agents on here, name, phone number, email. It's not my phone number, by the way, so don't call it because it won't get me. And then the touch points at the top. So I keep it very simple, 1 through 12. Basically, if I'm getting voicemails, this is just tracking when I'm calling them, okay? So on this page specifically, I have not talked to a human yet. So let's say I call myself the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, the 4th. Okay, cool, I finally pick up the phone. I'm gonna move them to the 2nd tab down at the bottom that says, yay, I got them on the phone. So I keep it very simple, very elementary with my tracking. And so then I move them to this list, okay? So once I'm able to talk to a human, they get moved on this list and I'm gonna have another 12 touch points. So the first one could be, hey, they answered the phone. The second touch point, I sent them an email. The third, I sent them a card. My goal with all of these touch points is to get a meeting. So we're gonna continue calling and talking to them until they agree to meet with us. After 12, if you can't get them, I usually drop them. Depending on how high their level of production is, if it's somebody you really wanna go after, you can do more than 12, but for me, I need to keep moving on so that I have someone that fits that mold and criteria. Okay, do we have questions on that? No. And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna send that, you can tweak it to what you want. I just like to use that because it's very simple. I know some of you have Salesforce that tracks all of your touch points, or some equivalent. I'm just old school and I use Excel, because
I
roll. Yeah, Sarah.
have one quick question. So let's say you get the meeting, and then let's say you touch with them again, and then at some point before that 12, they send you a buyer.
Yeah.
And you pre-approve them, they come off that list and they go on your 40 of people that are sending you business?
Correct. So as soon as you get a lead from that agent, they're now on your Focus 40. In order to stay on your Focus 40 list, they
90
need
days.
to send you a lead within 90 days. So every 90 days, if you have not gotten a lead from them, then you need to call and say, hey, just checking in, we haven't seen anything. Is there anything we can do better? If you've noticed they've been sending to other people, I always use the script, hey, listen, I thought we had a great meeting and, you know, we haven't seen a lead in a while. Where did I fail you? And then quiet. So that's the scripting I use. And we're going to talk more about that type of stuff in the follow-up section. So that's why I'm not touching a ton on it right now. But this is just the initial tracker until we're getting the meeting.
Cool.
Okay. All right.
Hi, can I ask something?
Yeah, go for it.
To get on the Focus 40, you're saying that any agent that gives you a lead goes on the Focus 40. So even if that lead doesn't materialize to anything or get into a pre-approval, they still go on the Focus 40?
I add them, yes, because they're trying to send me.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay. So who here has call reluctance? Anyone? You guys love to call? Oh, I'm just loving it. I've only seen like one hand raised, so the rest of you just love calling? Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh. It's okay, me either. When I first started, I hated it, right? I was like, I have to cold call people? This sucks. Like, I hate cold calling. But we're gonna talk about some scripts that help you, get over that cold calling. And I'm gonna tell you a trick that I use. You guys are gonna totally laugh at me. But before I call people, I like to get in the zone. And so find your favorite pump up music and listen to the song. I swear it works. My go-to is Who's That Girl by Eve. Take a listen to it. This is what I listen to before Freedom Club throws me up on stage in front of 300 loan officers. That's my jam. And yeah, it works wonders. But find your song, because we have to get in the mental headspace. And I think a lot of us have call reluctance, especially when we first start in this position, because we feel like we don't know anything, right? Does anyone else feel that way? Like, why do they want to work with me? Because I'm new, or I don't know all the loan products. It's totally different than that. Again, just like I said last week, agents only care about two things. One, how are you going to help them make more money? And two, how are you going to take care of their clients? Okay? It's not about we offer USDA or VA or down payment assistance or credit repair or anything like that. It's how can you help me as an agent make more money? That's the most important thing to them. They don't care how cute you are, BK, I'm sorry. Not initially, maybe. I don't know what kind of market you guys are in, but they don't care. So I need a volunteer. Someone raise your hand. I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna pick on somebody who hasn't gone. Dawn, I'm gonna pick on you. What are your like 2 favorite things in the whole world? I'm gonna unmute you. Unmute yourself. Still muted.
Oh, she's wasting so much breath.
Dawn, you're muted, my dear.
Oh, unmute, right?
Yep.
Can you hear me? When you're asking my 2 favorite things, you mean like a person or or like, what do I
Just
like?
like things you love. Give me 2.
Traveling and dining out.
Okay, perfect. So if I ask you, Dawn, where are your favorite places to travel? Tell me.
I like to go to Europe, I like Dubai, I like Israel, I like the Caribbean, I like St. Bart's. I also like maybe London, and that's it off the top of my head.
Okay, that's a great list, okay? So essentially, why I'm bringing this up, because you're probably like, what are you talking about right now? This does not have anything to do with real estate agent calls. It does. The more comfortable and the more enjoyable our jobs are, the better it's gonna come across on the phone. So if someone asks me to talk about my dog or baseball, I could talk to you all day long, okay? So that is the comfort level that we need to get to with you calling. And the other reason why I bring this up is I know when I pick up the phone, if I'm able to land that agent, that means more money in my pocket for me to spend on my dog, for me to go and travel, for me to go to baseball games. And so if we shift our mindset, and I know this sounds a little woo-woo, but if we shift our mindset and really get excited about these calls instead of dreading them, they pick up on that, okay? So we have to have self-confidence when it comes to making the calls. I get that they're scary, but at the end of the day, this one call could mean thousands of dollars in your pocket. You land a whale, which is 24 buy-sides a year, that's a big chunk of change in your pocket, no matter what kind of comp plan you're on, okay? So, believe in yourself, believe in your team, okay? And if there are things that you're like, hey, I don't know how this goes, have those conversations with your loan officers or the loan officer assistants that are taking those intake calls, because it's really important that you believe in the process and you believe in your product. Okay? The other thing that I want you to think about is if you were on the other end of that line and you're the real estate agent and you're getting the call, why would you use you? What would it take for you as an agent to use you, the lender? I always like to think, okay, if I was an agent, if a lender is helping me sit open houses or a lender is helping me with marketing and is consistent, those are the things that are important to me. So even if you don't know a ton about real estate agents, figure out what makes you and your team different and have that conversation with your loan officer. How did you land some of your biggest clients? What's important to them? Okay, so if you're new, figure that out with your team and have those conversations so that you can go out and effectively sell your team and sell yourself. So next week is a little sneak peek for homework, but I need a list of reasons why you're the best lender. Why would agents go out and work with you? And again, if you're not sure, that's okay. We can have those conversations on the Facebook group or you can email me. But go talk to your business partner and ask them, what makes our team different other than communication and closing on time? Sound good? Shit, they answered the phone. Now what do I say to them? Sorry for swearing. This is like the worst. You're all pumped up, you're ready to go, and then they're like, hi, this is so-and-so from Keller Williams. What do I say? So I broke it down for you a little bit. This is what I use. There's obviously ways to tweak it that will work for your company or your personal style as well. But this is kind of just a basis and a guideline of what I like to use when I call them. So we do an intro. So let's say Sarah's the real estate agent because you're in my screen. Sarah, you're going to be my agent. You answer the phone. Hi, this is Sarah. I'm selling houses all day long. Hey, Sarah, it's Rachel from the Bates team at VIP Mortgage. Listen, I know you're busy, you're a top producer, but I had to reach out to you because I keep hearing your name, and I figured it would be a big disservice if we didn't meet. Okay, so we're starting out with intro, keep it short and sweet until they say, I'm not interested. I kind of skip right on over that. Praise. I will tell you, of the 110 agents, and that's between teams, because I have some big teams that I count as one account, all of them like to hear how great they are. That's just what it is. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. You guys know real estate agents, they love the praise. I keep hearing your name, top producer. These keywords are like, wow, this person's making me feel really, really, really great about me as a real estate agent. Then I just give them two options. Hey, listen, can I take you out to coffee on Tuesday or Thursday of next week at 1 o'clock and learn about your journey in the real estate industry and how you became the best in your field? Again, we're praising again. Do not give them too many options, because if you say, do you have time next week? It gives them an out. But if you give them two options, they're more likely to say yes. So our goal with these calls is to get as many yeses as possible. Okay? Then you're going to hear the objections. Listen, I'm too busy. I already have a lender. You call too much. You call too much is my favorite, because as you're calling, they may notice your number if they save it. And they'll say you call too much. And what I say is, hey, I totally get that. But one of the biggest complaints about lenders is communication. And so if I'm calling you consistently, you know I'm going to call your clients consistently too. And I just wait. So you're going to hear these objections. And then what I say, and there's a couple other scripts you can use for this, but one of the ones that you can use for all of these is, I totally get it. Can I ask you a question? Again, we're going for yes. Sure. At this point, it's sure. When's the last time your lender helped you grow your business while also taking care of your clients? And then wait. I'm going to tell you guys, the biggest thing that I learned in this industry is asking the right questions will dictate exactly how you need to take care of those agents. Because if they say, listen, my lender sends me buyers all the time. Okay, totally cool. I get it. Do I have your permission to sit back up in case there's somebody that your lender can't help? If they say, you know what? I don't know. What do you mean? Perfect. I'd love to go for coffee. If you're too busy, I get it. I'll bring coffee to you, depending on the agent. I will say they have to be a high producer for that line. I just need 30 minutes of your time, but I promise you that I'm going to be the best lender partner you've ever had. And then get the opportunity. So this is how my phone calls go. Like I said, there are other scripts, but this is kind of what I like to use just so that I can kind of hit all the targets at once. And your whole goal with these calls is to get a meeting on the books. Okay? So I'm going to pop off really quick because I'm sure that there are questions here. What questions do you have about that phone call and the scripting? Oh, you guys are going to have a great week then. You're going to go out there and crush it.
I have a question.
So I have a question.
Okay, we have questions now. Macy, go ahead. You're cutting out.
Right? Oh.
Sorry. Okay. Okay, I know we got other questions. Who did we have? Sorry, I didn't see hands.
So it's all about, so Rachel, it's all about the confidence in how you speak, how you start that conversation.
Yeah.
If you start with confidence, then it's a positive conversation. But if you're shaky on the words or constantly then it's a done deal. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I think
selling confidence.
Confidence is probably 90% of the journey. The 10% is the words that you use. Our whole goal with this call is to get a meeting. Okay, they're going to have objections. They're going to say no. You're not going to win every single person. That's okay. again, it's a numbers game. If you're making 100 phone calls a week and you get 20 appointments, that's a win. Like, don't let that discourage you. You're gonna have some no's and some people that just will not meet with you. But if you say things like that and have that question, when's the last time your lender helped you make more money and took great care of your clients? They're gonna start to think about it. So you're planting the seed. And our whole goal is after that initial touch point, even if you don't get the meeting, you're following up for 12 weeks in a row until they tell you to go pound sand. So I'm constantly showing up and saying, listen, how I'm calling you is how I call your clients and how our team takes care of your clients. So that's the phrasing that I use in that line, when is last time that your lender took great care of you and helped you make more money, is not something that other lenders are asking them. They're saying, hey, we'd love to work with you and we'd love to, do some loans. It's not about the agent, but if you make it about the agent, then you're already separating yourself from 50 other lenders that may have called others.
One thing that helped me actually land the appointments for tomorrow
Yeah,
is that, I did mention that, even though I'm on the brand team, this is North Point, the bank. So I did say, hey, we're like a one-stop shop. You have the process, we have our in-house, underwriting, so we can introduce you to, we can get you insurance agent, we can get everything that you need. You just come through me, and I promise everything, all the ducks will fit in a row. And that's kind of how I, especially the processors and the underwriting team, that helps. Like, oh, really? Okay, let me meet with you. And so that was my way of using that to get that appointment.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's selling the branch. It's selling the branch.
And those are things that are going to go onto your list of how you are different than other lenders. So that homework assignment that you'll have, put those things on the list, right? That's your competitive advantage. We have the same thing in ours. I've got my underwriter sitting right down the hall. If I have a question, I'm going to walk over there. Whereas, some of the bigger companies may not have that. That's a competitive advantage for me.
Mhm.
It's usually not coming up in my phone calls initially, but that is something that could come up in the meeting. When someone says, how are you different? I can use that as a talking point.
And when you say to them, like, I want to, how are you making them more money if they're bringing you the client? Like, what are you, when they ask you that, like, how are you making them more money? And so your answer would be?
It depends on what you're looking to do this year. We are all in with you as your real estate agent. So I want to sit down with you and figure out what your goals are, what you're going after, what your marketing strategy is, and I want to be all in with you. So if that means you want to host client appreciation parties, I want to be in the trenches right next there with you and praising you to your clients who are going to send you referrals. When your clients call, I'm going to take such great care of them that they're going to want to send you all of their friends. Okay?
Got it.
So I know that there's a couple questions, and I saw Anne Marie's question in there too. This is what I use the second meeting for, and I'll talk about this in a second too when we actually go over the meeting. But I use the second meeting to figure out what their pain points are so that I can help them fix those pain points to allow them to be more efficient and go after more clients. If they're being more efficient and they're doing more business, I'm making more money too. So anything that I'm able to help them with, I'm going to do as a lender. That's our job as the business development person, is to deep dive with them, figure out their business plan, give them ideas they wouldn't have thought of on their own. Helping with open houses. There's so many different things that you can do. So it's not a clear cut and dry answer, because just like all of you are different from possibly the way that I would do business, they're the same thing. Every agent you meet is going to have a different strategy where you're going to be able to help them successfully meet their goals.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Tim?
I've taken some notes. So Steve Piles actually has a really good podcast I listened to last week about call reluctance. I've been dealing with it kind of for a long time, and I can post it on the Facebook page too if you guys want. But I'm getting discouraged a lot when people are like, you call me too much, please take me off your list, or they just don't answer. So this podcast is maybe like 35 minutes, and it's with Carl White, and it's amazing. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I found it last week.
I love that. Yes. please drop it in there. I also have as one of your homework assignments is to overcoming realtor objections, which Steve Kiles just did a podcast on. So you guys get to listen to that because it is all about calling agents. And if you hear an objection, this is how he would respond. And if you guys don't know who Steve Kiles is, he's a master at scripting. I mean, this guy, everything he says out of his mouth is beautiful. And I'm like, this is so unfair. I wish I was as fluent as he was in all of this stuff. And he's just very quick-witted. So that'll be a homework assignment as well. And you'll see that at the end of the PowerPoint today to go listen to that, because that is one of the things you're going to hear objections. That's just the inevitable. So it's helping yourself figure out what to say when you do hear those objections. And you'll tweak it as you go along. Like as you hear the objections, you might find wording that works better, but still incorporate some of those ideas. But that is one of your homework assignments. So Kim, awesome. Yeah, that's a great podcast for you guys to listen to. DK?
Yeah, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I was a part of the Freedom Club a couple of years ago, and Thor's hammered every Monday, all of that kind of stuff. And now I've transitioned. I kind of slacked as a loan officer, just drank the refi Kool-Aid last year, and now I've transitioned into business development, where I'm going to go back out and start making these phone calls again. Would you think that I'm guessing the agents probably don't remember me from 2 years ago, so if I pick up the phone and start making these calls again as if I'd never called them, but would you recommend a change in a script for somebody who called them a couple of years ago and never got any response from them, or just sell the team aspect that I have going forward?
I mean, I think it really just depends on your personal style. I don't think a lot of them will remember who you are if you hadn't actively been working with them. So you can always try and call. The other thing you could say is, hey, listen, you know, in this industry, only a strong survive. It's great that both of us are still in this industry. It's probably time that we partner and do something together. So that's something you could use too. Let's see, Macy, how many times do you call them before giving a break? I use 12 weeks, so once a week for 12 weeks. If I can't get a hold of them or they tell me to F off, then I will remove them from the list. Again, it's a numbers game. If you're calling over and over and over again and they won't even give you the time of day, that's maybe not someone that you want to work with anyways. If it's a huge producer, there are other ways that you can figure out how to get in front of them. So if they're not responding to phone calls, you could show up at their open house. That's a good one, because you can't go anywhere. They're sitting there, so they're more likely to talk to you. I've used that before. You could send something to their office. There's literally this company, I don't know if they're Phoenix-based, but they have these like volleyballs, and they'll write things on them, and they hand deliver a volleyball with whatever message you want, and it's like, what is this? But that's the whole point, is to basically stand out from the crowd. So there's a lot of different things, and we'll talk about that more in follow-up. But I would say, you know, if you can't get the time of day from them, that's probably not somebody that you want as your client anyway.
And then Rachel, so guys, so I was doing the whole 12-week program, and you start off that initial conversation, you hit it off great, like, hey, do you mind if I keep calling you? And then you get ghosted, and they don't pick up for, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I noticed like week 7, 8, 9, people are like, hey, I owe you a phone call. Hey, we're gonna meet for coffee. Like, people appreciate the follow-up so much because nobody does that. Everyone stops after like 2, 3, 4. But if you keep going, you literally see the difference. And I got discouraged too when I started out. I'm like, I keep getting ghosted, nobody's answering the phone. And all of a sudden, like week 7, 8, 9, people are calling me back, like leaving messages with me. I'm like, oh my God, this actually works. It's amazing.
And I would too, like, try different days. You could also maybe one day a week try an afternoon call block as well, and maybe swap out your meetings. That time blocking system I sent you, that's just what I use. But if you're noticing like, hey, this person's not answering, maybe their schedules have something where they can't answer the phone in the morning, or the afternoon's better for them. So you can switch it up. But I think, again, the consistency, like Sean said, is so important. I can tell you, I get calls sometimes, I'm like, oh, I can't answer that right now. And it's not because I'm like, oh, God, who's calling me? It's just I'm busy, I'm doing something. So the consistency and the follow-up, and use that of, hey, listen, the biggest failure of lenders is their lack of communication. I'm calling you every single week for 12 weeks. If I can do that going after your business, I'm going to take great care of your clients. We're in this together. It's a partnership. Okay? Any other questions? Jake said in the chat, this morning I landed a realtor on week 11. Just with it. Awesome. Love that. Congrats, Jake.
Thank you.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So what if you're on the phone with the agent and you're talking about how you want to discuss increasing their business and helping them make money? What if they start asking you over the phone, well, how is it that you can do that? Can you give me a quick breakdown? How do you switch that to where it's like, well, to where you want it to be more of a face-to-face as opposed to doing it all over the phone?
I would just say, listen, give me a shot, 30 minutes of your time to sit down and grab coffee with you. I want to find out exactly what you're looking to do so that I can pinpoint my help to exactly what your goals are. And you could even, say like, hey, we've got all of the products that most lenders have, but what's different is how involved we are with our agent partners. My role with our team is to specifically make sure that our agent partners are taken care of, while my loan partner is making sure that your clients are taken care of. So you have two of us at all times to make sure that we're helping you meet your goals. That's not common with a lot of lenders, especially the ones that are doing it on their own. They've got to reach out to the agents, and then they've got to do LSUs, which for some of you that don't have those loan status updates, they've got to do paperwork and look at all the boring tax documents that I'm pretty sure nobody on this call likes to look at, maybe BK, I don't know. But like, that's our role, guys. We're people. So go and embrace that and use that as a selling point for you. Any more?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I love the organization sheet that you sent, and sort of, I understand how we cycle through. So if they send a lead, you put them on a different list. When you organize your calls and who you're calling per day, how do you do that? How do you do that, essentially?
Yeah, so what I do, and again, you can use whatever system works best for you, but I'm going to pull that list from Title. So let's say I use Scottsdale for today. I'm going to start with the top and just go down the list. If I call them, I'm putting them on that tracker sheet until I hit 12, and then I'm crossing them off the list, and I'll keep moving forward. So the next day it might be Gilbert, and it's my Gilbert list.
Okay. Yes, and so let's say now you have people that you're calling and you're trying to reach. Do you call the same people on the same day? So let's say John Smith, you called Monday the first week. Do you call him Monday the second week?
I usually do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I use the same list. So if Scottsdales are Mondays, I'm doing Scottsdale Monday, Gilbert Tuesday, Mason Wednesday. That's just easier for me to remember. It doesn't have to be. You could be like, hey, first week I call on Monday, second week I call on Wednesday. It's just the consistency of every week for 12 weeks that we're looking for. So, if you're not getting hold of them, maybe try calling them on a different day.
Okay.
Dawn, how about, I keep getting asked about the loans and FHA products, and I'm not a loan officer. They're asking you this on the phone? Well, you're muted again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How about, like, I know you said in the beginning, and it's true, and I know you're a licensed loan officer, but a lot of times, like, we'll start out, well, I mean, what's the rates at now, and how about this product? And they start asking me all about the loans, and I'm not a loan officer, so how do you kind of divert out of that and bring them to us?
Yeah, I mean, I am a licensed loan officer, but I don't deal with loans at all. I just got it just for our company's sake. That's what they wanted. But I would just say, listen, most lenders have the same products. What's really important to you? You have been in this industry a long time. You know that the rates change on a daily basis, especially right now. We could give you the rate information, but unless you're sending a client over today, it's possible that it's going to change tomorrow. What's important to you as the agent with your lender partner? Is it the product, or is it the service, or is it how we make you more money? Again, I'm always asking questions to figure out, to figure out exactly why they're asking those questions. a lot of times agents will ask those questions because they don't know what else to ask you. So it's not that they really care about the products. They know about FHA, they know about loan limits, and they know the rates are, you know, in the 5s today or whatever it may be. You don't need to know that. Your job is to help build their business. And I say that, like, my loan partner is awesome. You're welcome to have a conversation with him if you really want to go in depth on the different loan products we have. But my role with our team is to help you strategize and figure out, how do you make more money this year? Because if you're making more money, we're all making more money.
And then are you actually like closing these like agents alone, or like once you develop this relationship, your job then is like, are you like passing them on then to Austin?
So we joke because there have been many clients that Austin has never met, couldn't tell you what they look like, they couldn't tell you what he looks like. I close them myself, but if it is somebody that's a bigger producer or maybe personality match might be better with Austin, I will bring Austin with you or with me. It just depends, to be honest with you. Whatever your comfort level and how involved your loan officer wants to be, have those conversations and say, when I meet this loan officer, do you want to be at the meetings? What would you like to get across in those meetings? And figure out how your team works specifically. Austin doesn't want to go to my meetings. That's just what it is. Unless it's like I said, a big producer or a team, then I'll bring him in. But there are people that have only talked to him on the phone and closed within, 20 different deals with him that have never met him.
Okay. Go on, thank you. Okay.
Mindy, I usually crack a joke and tell them we have someone really good on the team that handles the geeky policy and details well. Then I tell them I'm there to make sure that they and their client feels well communicated with and never left in the dark. And that seems to make them happy. That's true. That's what I say too. I say, oh, I have Austin on my team. He handles all the boring stuff like looking at tax documents. I'm way too much of a people person to handle that. So yeah, address the elephant in the room. That's awesome, Mindy. Love that. Okay, any more? You guys are asking great questions. I love this. You ready to go on to the meeting part?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So, I like to do a little meeting prep prior to the meeting. So they've agreed, hey, yep, I'll have coffee with you next Tuesday. Awesome. I immediately send them a calendar invite, okay? My whole goal is to make sure that they're not just lying to me to get me off the phone. So I'm gonna bother them until we have that meeting. Sometimes this is just how agents are. They forget, they won't add it to their calendar. They'll come up with something. So this is what I do in the prep. And you'll see on your homework that at the bottom it says, did I make my weekly confirmation calls? This is for your agent meetings. So I send them a calendar invite. This is a great tactic. Also, if you're having an event, this is what I use. So if you're doing a class or a realtor happy hour, I send them a calendar invite. That's my thing, because if it goes on their calendar, they're less likely to not show up. Week before, send them an email asking them to confirm, just saying, hey, listen, I'm looking forward to our meeting. Is there anything that may prevent us from meeting at this time? So again, we're making sure that they show up. The day before, I'm again emailing them saying, hey, looking forward to meeting you at Olive and Ivy tomorrow at 1. What can I order you to drink if I get there before you? It's not using a little bit of guilt because they know I'm going to order a drink. They're less likely to cancel on me. And then before I go to the meeting, like the day before, I put in my admin time that's in the morning, that's on your time blocking schedule. I check out their social media page, their web page, mutual friends. What I do with these questions that I have from their social media is I will ask them like, hey, what kind of charities are you involved with? Or where are you originally from? I already know the answer because I looked at their social media page, but it's giving me talking points, okay? And I'm also finding out on their Facebook what they're really passionate about so that I can strategically bring that up in the meeting. The more commonality that you have, the better. I always equate realtor meetings kind of like dating, which is funny because I hate dating, but you've got to figure out like, hey, do I like this person? Do they have a good vibe? Do we have common goals? Do I actually enjoy them enough to answer a phone call on Saturday morning or Saturday evening? Figure out those things within the meeting because that's really, really important. You have to jive well with your agent because it's going to make sure that those calls that you're making to them on a weekly basis are not a drag for you. You shouldn't have to pump yourself up for 30 minutes to call an agent because you don't like that agent. That's just how it goes. Get there 10 minutes early. Like, please, either 10 minutes early or you're late already. Just get that in your head. And if you've never met them, what I'll do is I'll send a text to them and say, hey, Kim, it's Rachel from VIP. Just got here. I've got your vanilla latte ready to go. I'm in all black with my hair in a ponytail and silver earrings on. Text me if you can't find me. Okay? They finally showed. That's awesome. That's a huge win for you. Now, what do we talk about? Do we just stare at each other and like hope that we start sending deals to one another? We're going to talk about them because, again, just like your calls, they love to talk about them. We all do. That's a human nature. If you asked me about my dog, I would talk to you about my dog for the hour and a half that we have together, but nobody wants to hear that. So this is how I flow my meetings, okay? So I always like to start with frog, and frog I spelled out here on the left-hand side. The first is going to be friends and family. You know, tell me about your family. Do you live in the area? Are you from here originally, especially if you're in those highly transplant states, California, Florida, Arizona, Texas. This question goes over well. No one in Arizona is from Arizona, so it's a great bonding moment for you guys. The other one that I love, what do you like to do for fun? Obviously, you're killing it in real estate, but if you had a free day, what would you do? And again, we're looking for commonalities. The more commonalities you can have with that real estate agent, the better chance of them actually building a relationship with you. Occupation, obviously you guys know what they do, otherwise they wouldn't be sitting there, but how did you get into real estate? I noticed you built a team. What was that like? Ask them everything you can. The best salespeople are those that lead with questions. It's not sitting there saying, hi, I'm Rachel from the Bates team, and we have all sorts of products, and we do down payment assistance, we love to do credit repair, and we can really take great care of your clients. No, that's not how my meetings go at all. In fact, half the time we don't even talk about loans in that first meeting. That's just what it comes down to. I'm finding out if they're a good fit for me, and I'm a good fit for them. And then goals. You know, you've accomplished so much in your real estate career. What do the next 12 months look like for you? So that's my frog script. This will take a good amount of time. I will tell you that right now. If you're doing half-hour meetings, this needs to be about 15 minutes, and then we'll transition into the second part. But BK, you've got a question.
You literally just answered it because most of my meetings are typically about an hour long because when you're frogging somebody, they talk and talk and talk about themselves. And I was wondering how you got it down to 30 minutes, but you just answered.
Yeah, 15 minutes, and I just say, hey, listen, I know you're busy, so I only scheduled 30 minutes, but I'd love to continue this again in another meeting. What does your schedule look like next week? What does your schedule look like in 2 weeks? So now we're setting up, the more times they see me, the more buy-in I'm getting, but I use their schedule. I knew you were super busy, so I didn't want to schedule more than 30 minutes to respect your time. Okay, so this is going to be, the first part is going to be that frog. The second part of my meetings is going to be more questions, but they're going to be more specific to them as a real estate agent versus the personal side. So what do you wish you had more of in your business? What do you struggle with, and what are your pain points? These questions are going to tell me exactly what they need as an agent. So when we talk about making more money for them as a real estate agent, and what does that look like, that's going to help answer that right here with these questions. So we're allowing them to tell us exactly what they need in their business to be successful. So let's say Dawn and I are meeting, and she says, you know, everything's good, but I really need more listings. Okay, awesome. I'm now going to go back and use that as part of my follow-up and figure out what podcasts have listing ideas? Can I go to theclose.com and see if there's anything on listings? Is there something with Agent Mastermind, which a lot of your loan partners are part of Freedom Club or Mortgage Marketing Animals, and they've got tools that basically talk to agents about, hey, listings, this is a great way to prospect. I'm listening for triggers so that I can help them find a solution to the problems that they just told me they're having. And then I always like to end the meeting with, what can I do to help you? And they'll say, well, what do you guys offer? This is where they're gonna say, what do you offer? Because I guarantee you, I've gotten it a couple times. It depends. What are you looking for in a lender partner? What would make this the perfect partnership? I flip the script on them and I ask them that, and again, they're going to tell me exactly what they need. So let's say they say, well, I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. That's awesome. One of the cool things that we do at VIP is we actually do credit repair in-house, and we don't charge for it. And we've got down payment assistance programs if your first-time home buyers are unable to come up with a down payment straight out of pocket. So this is where you could use loan products there. The other thing too is you'll kind of figure out as you go what that agent's really looking for. And 95% of the time, it's not a specific loan product. It's a service, it's a help with marketing, it's help with open houses, things like that. So asking those questions will allow you to pinpoint. The other thing that I tell them too is every agent is so different. What I tell one agent I can help with is going to be different than what I tell you I can help with because your goals are different. Okay. And then how I end the meeting, and this is how I get a second meeting, is one of the things I love to do with our real estate agent partners is business plan, which essentially we're doing a deep dive into a business and I'm going to ask you a ton of questions, but it really allows me as your lender partner to figure out how I can help you and not just be one of those lenders that sits back and waits for leads. And then I will try to get them on the calendar before I even leave that meeting. So that's my ending game. And I would say 90% of the time I can get that second meeting scheduled. Okay. Questions? Yes, I'm Vanilla Ice. I'm not going to wrap it for you because it's too early and I'd scare all of you. So that's what my meetings typically look like. And then again, I'm paying attention to what they're telling me. Hold on, I guess. How long is your second meeting? So my second meeting is a little bit longer. For business planning, I have a template that I use that has all of my questions ready to go. And I ask them questions the whole time. So it's probably 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how long-winded the agent is. I give myself 45 minutes, just because I am going more in depth with that agent. I do take notes in front of them. Yep, I'm old school. I bring out my notebook and I just say, hey, listen, do you care if I take notes? And they're like, yeah, go for it. I've never had someone say, no, please don't take notes. When will your next meeting be after that? Usually they'll be pretty excited, so I like to get it on the calendar within a week, if possible. Yep, and like BK said, I ask permission too, but most of the time they're pretty cool with me taking notes. To my next point, make sure you take notes. If you're not taking notes in the meeting, go out to your car and open your notes app in your phone or your notebook and write down as much as you can remember ASAP, because otherwise you will forget it. And then I always like to look at too, how did the meeting end? What did the agent say to you? Because that is going to help you figure out how it went. If they say, hey, listen, this was a great meeting, I'd love to send you some clients, awesome. Then you know that the meeting went really well and you can use that in your follow-up. And then figure out, how do you feel about the meeting? The meeting may have went really well, but you just have a bad feeling about the agent. Guys, trust your gut. It's okay to say no to people. There have been agents where I'm like, I don't really want to work with this person, but I'll do it because it's loans. If it's not a good fit, you're going to hate working with that agent, and that's okay. Like I said, it's a numbers game. You're going to have agents that you fire, that you don't like working with. It's fine. That's just the way it is. The nice part about your job is you have thousands of agents in your area. If you don't like one, you just replace them. And you find somebody else that's more your speed, that you like, that you want to hang out with. And that's the cool part, because eventually when you are in the business long enough, you're going to have agents that become friends. It just happens now. Some of my agents, we run in the same social circles. And that's the coolest thing, because now my work and my personal life are kind of blending. And it's not all about the loan products. It's all about, hey, listen, you like this and you want to go try this new restaurant? Cool, let's go. Like, we're now friends. And the deeper that bond is, the more business you're going to get. One of the things I like to do is immediately after the appointment, I send them a video text. So I'll go in my car and I just do a little, hey, Sarah, it was so great meeting you. I absolutely love that meeting and I can't wait for our next meeting. Go out there and crush it. It can just be something simple, but the fact that they're like, wow, this person sent me a text already, the communication and the consistency is everything in this industry. I'm going to tell you that right now. I will say it until I'm dead in the face. You can be the most personable person in the world, but if you don't follow up, you're not going to do any business. Send a thank you note the same day. So build this into your schedule. Just, hey, at the end of the day, I've got to send a thank you note to the 4 people that I met with today. Pop it in the mail. Everyone loves getting mail, unless you're like weird or something and you don't like getting mail. But look at how successful Amazon is. I could order the smallest thing. It could be like bleach, and it shows up from Amazon. I'm like, yes, I have a package. It's mail. People love mail. It's weird. It's a weird thing. So send them a thank you card. I like to add them on social media if it went well, because now I can comment and engage on their stuff. If they've got something like a listing, I'll share it. Now I'm at the point, if you see on my Facebook, I've got agents that tag me in their listings, which is cool, because I'm like, hey, I'm part of the team. And then I set them up in my marketing system. So depending on what different systems your company has, put them in there so you don't forget, if it's top of mind or list reports or HomeBot, whatever it may be, and we can go more in depth in some of those programs later, but put them in there so you don't forget, and then you can send them stuff through the marketing system. I answered it.
Hey, Rachel,
Yeah.
real quick, it's Steph.
Okay.
When you say HomeBot, are you, asking them, because we have that, are you, and I would love to be able to do that, are you asking them for their address, or are you just looking it up on CAD, or what are you doing for that?
So we add them as
I'd love to be able to get all their home addresses.
Yeah, you can go and do the Creeper way and go on like the county assessor
Right.
and send them that way. What I do with HomeBot is I actually just send them an email invite to set up an agent account. I know that not everybody has HomeBot, and that's okay, but if you do and you're using it actively, it's just another touch point to say, hey, listen, Rachel just sent you an invite to be part of HomeBot. Agents love like tools and marketing stuff, so I always tell our agents too, when I send them a HomeBot invite, if they've never used HomeBot, I encourage them to create an account for their personal property so that they can see the functionality,
Yeah.
and then you can get their address that way.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay. So next week, we're going into follow-up plan, because obviously you've had the agent meeting, it went great. Now you're trying to figure out, okay, it was cool, what do I do now? Do I just sit and wait for them to send me leads? You don't. So we'll come up with some cool follow-up stuff next week. I'm gonna just go over homeworks really quick, and then we'll do Q&A. Let's see, we've got about 25 minutes for Q&A. So what I want you to do is continue time blocking. And in the time blocking, you guys are great at following directions, because I saw your time blocking sheets that said, call time, meeting time. I actually want you to put in the meetings who you're meeting with. Okay, so if you have meetings scheduled, throw them in there, and then send me your schedule for the week so we can see what we're working on. And then if you haven't sent me your weekly recap from last week, please do so. I want to see where we're at as far as calls and meetings and all that stuff, and it'll be fun to track the progress of everyone throughout the course. Continue working on your agent and SOI list. I know some of you have said, hey, it's not done yet. That's okay. It's not intended to be done. You're always going to be adding to these lists. So as you run into people, they're like, oh, I know that person. I need to add them to my list. That's super important. And then as far as new stuff, the USP list, which is the unique selling proposition or what makes your team different list. Why are you different than other lenders? And it could just be you. You could be, I'm super cool and I love dogs and I want to go after all the agents with dogs and have like dog meetup groups. Cool, do it. Add it to your list. This can be however you want it to be. Track your calls on that tracking sheet or equivalent. Like I said, you don't have to use what I'm using, but track it, please, so you can make sure you're being consistent. And then listen to Steve Kyles' loan officer leadership, overcoming the top 5 realtor objections, because I guarantee you're going to get them. And the more prepared we are when we call and have those conversations, the better off we're going to be. Any questions on homework stuff? Awesome. Please. Q&A. What do you guys got for me? I know you have tons of questions. Yeah, Sarah, go for it.
So with this drip on LinkedIn that we were doing, a lot of people were saying, I'm getting a lot of lenders that want me to work with them. What makes you so special? What makes your team so special? What products do you have that's different? So like immediately my brain went to, yes, the products that we have, we do, you know, all the residential products, which I think a lot of people do, but then the team of who we are. So I represent 2 loan officers, myself and the 2 of us, or 2 of them, is what sort of makes us unique. And a lot of these people want me to send it to them in an email before they'll agree to talk with me further. I put an email together and then sent it to my one LO, and he said, way too lengthy and doesn't get the point across. Ask Rachel. So how would you tackle that? What would you say?
Will you do me a favor and post it in the Facebook group or email it to me?
Sure.
I'd love for it to be a learning experience for everybody on there too.
It is long, but I thought it sort of encompassed us, but yeah, I will.
Okay, perfect. And then Sean and I were actually talking, Paul Dolan, who's got an amazing business development rep out of Florida, she created a list of, this is 19 or 20 reasons why they're different.
It's 19 ways they're a true partner to their realtors.
So essentially that's what I'm copying the homework from is let's make a list and then we're going to come up with one. I will share hers later in the week, but I want you to start thinking individually. So it's not just that I copied the list and it's not necessarily true to our business. But I think it's one of those things too. And when people are like, can you send me an email? One of the things that I've used that has been successful is, why don't I bring it to you in person so you can put a face with the name? And then I will show up at their office. Because that's just something, again, I want to be in front of agents. I think a big cop out for a lot of agents is, oh, send me an email, and then you never hear from them again. So if I show up at their office, I'm going to have a much better success rate. And I think too, Sarah, just again, go back to every agent's different. So what I can offer you is going to be different than even someone in your office because your goals are totally different. So give me 30 minutes of your time. You hate me, I'll never call you again.
Okay.
Just make it, I mean, you have to just address the elephant in the room. Listen, they get it too. Like, they've got to call people all day long. So essentially they're doing the same thing. We're pretty similar. We're just in different parts of the real estate transaction.
Right.
And I think, you know, the other thing too is when they say what makes you different, I'm what makes me different because majority of the companies around here doesn't have a dedicated person to agents to help the agent make more money.
Got it.
You as a BDR are already the unique selling proposition because 9 out of 10 loan officers don't have a business development person.
Yeah, okay.
So you can use that for sure.
Cool.
Let me just pop into the chat here. Yes, I will send my business plan form. You can cut it and edit it however you want. it's a little lengthy. I'm going to tell you that right now. You could break it into 2 sessions. I go really deep dive, and that's just the former teacher in me, is figuring out every little thing. But again, use it however you want, cut and paste. It's not proprietary at all. Yes, BK, we've got a lot on the Facebook BDR page, just because it was the easiest to post questions. You guys have been posting some amazing questions, and I love how awesome you guys have been with helping one another do well in there. And there's been some great content that other people have posted, that it's not me answering every single question. So thank you guys for sharing with one another as well. What else you got? Nothing. Okay. I see your faces. Don't be scared. It's okay. No? Okay. Sarah, do you want to share more about your LinkedIn and how that looks? I really love that idea.
So the person who we partnered with for this came out of the Orlando trip that I'm pretty sure the reason why all of us are on this call is because somebody in our office went to that trip. And he's based out of California, and you essentially set up, I think it's like 3 different emails. One is just like, hey, want to connect if you're interested. Basically, they allow you to connect, and that's just them saying, let's connect. Once they do that, the second email is more in depth. It's, you know, we were announcing our partnership. So, hey, we've become partners with FAU. We're their exclusive lender. We would love to keep it in the family and work with fellow owls. Would love to meet with you and discuss some of the things that we can do on a relationship. I can even send all of this in the Facebook. And then the third one goes out, and it's like, hey, just circling back, wanted to see if you wanted to partner, let me know. And essentially what happens is this drip goes out to them, it's scheduled until they respond. Once they respond, the drip ends, and then it's up to the 2 of us to continue the partnership or the relationship. Some of them are like, hi, I get these a lot, I don't ever want to see or talk to you again. Fine. Others are like, I get these a lot from other people. What makes you so special? Why should I work with you? Others are like, wow, I can't wait to partner with a fellow owl. Let's meet for coffee. Or I'm in Orlando now and you're in South Florida, so let's do a Zoom or a virtual. So I've gotten sort of all over. There's been a couple people where they don't catch on until like the 3rd, and they're like, thanks for being so persistent. I've been meaning to respond to you. Thanks for being so patient. And I'm like, wow, that's so generous of them. And then there's other people that are like, if you send me another email, I'm reporting you. And so, you know, it's just kind of like, I guess, like everything else, it's about who wants to be open to it, who wants to meet with you. And so like this week I have 8 coffee appointments from that alone, which is exciting. So now I get to put the slides that we just saw into motion and get those half hours down, because I have a tendency to make them run long, our coffee appointments, and do it in 30 minutes and get the wheels moving and hopefully get some loans in from it.
And then Steph had a question. Are you the alum or is your LO, or both?
Luckily enough, I am the alum.
Awesome.
Yeah, so both my LOs are not. So I am, which is pretty cool.
And this is only agents?
Yeah. So anybody in their LinkedIn that has real estate agent, realtor, or they have their own brokerage. Mm-hmm. And some are like, well, I got my license. I don't do this anymore. I'm a teacher, or I do something else. Isn't lucrative, which is fine. And I'll say like, oh, can I keep you in my contact? And I'd like to reach out to you in a month or so to see if, you know, you've decided to dive back in or.
Awesome. And then, Anne-Marie, I saw your thing. I'll get to you in just a second. Dawn, what did you have a question on for Sarah?
What does alum mean?
They went to that specific university. So she's targeting everyone that went to that university.
That has it on their LinkedIn.
that is the common bond. Awesome. I love that. I can't wait to hear how your meetings went.
Me too.
You got this, confidence. Let's do it. Anne Marie, and then Sean will come back to you in a second.
So this is about kind of what you mentioned last week about BNI. I looked into it and I had a couple questions. Like, when did you actually pursue things like BNI in your career? And do you fund it yourself? And then how soon did you actually get referrals from something like that?
Yeah.
I'm looking at creating one myself. I just don't know if it's a distraction.
You could definitely do one yourself. So I am in BNI, but I created my own during COVID, and I created a women's group, but it's one person per industry. I don't charge for it. I don't have a strict attendance policy. We do it on Zoom. I have 70 different women in there, all different industries, and we've really all become friends. And we do things like, we just did a meeting, mornings with mimosas on Thursdays, and I had 40 people in there. I've gotten referrals from a lot of them, and I've also asked them for real estate agent referrals. So you can definitely create your own, and it can be low budget. It doesn't have to be something super expensive. As far as BNI, one of our agent partners, she was like, hey, the lender finally got kicked out of my BNI. Like, can you come in and be the lender? So it was an invite from someone we had already been doing business with. However, I joined October of 2020, and I, year to date, have done 17 deals from people that were not the agent that have sent me referrals. So it definitely pays for itself. My company does pay for it, just because the ROI is really good. And I told them, you know, this is something that one of our agents are requesting, but talk to your loan partner and see. I think you just have to weigh out the ROI, right? So if the, you know, cost to join the Chamber of Commerce or BNI is a couple $100 up to $1,500, how many loans do we have to bring in to make sure that that pays for itself? It's one of those where you just have to look at the numbers and also who the people are in there. I think that's really important because every BNI or networking group is different, and a lot of them will let you go and test out a networking organization before you join. So I would strongly recommend you to do that, and see what that looks like. But yeah, company pays for it. On my end, I did it right away because, again, the more people I can meet, the more opportunities I have for meeting other real estate agents or meeting a good referral partner, whether it be a CPA, a financial advisor, anyone that's dealing with life changes. So yeah, I think it just depends on your time and how much you have to spare, but go out there and be the face of your company.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Has anyone had any success attending the realtor meetings in their area? For here in Denver, the one is called SMDRA, and I'm attending my first meeting this Friday. Does anyone else want to share? I mean, obviously I can share my experience, but yeah, BK, go for it.
There, I posted it too, but I'm also in Denver. We call the group SMEDRA. I went to the associations for many, many years, and what I found is that they are heavily saturated. We're talking like 1-to-1 LO to realtors, and the realtors are just constantly being bombarded. And so in order for the realtors, I mean, most of the people that have, totally my opinion, I'm not judging, but most of the realtors that have time to go to the associations are not your whales. They're your guppies. They're the ones who do 1 or 2. They like the drama. They like the feeling of being involved in something. And most of them are not the actual high producing. The high producers, they don't have time to attend Q's every Friday.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Hey, I think that works. That's good. And you guys are in the same market, so that specific organization, obviously, that's the way that it flows. I think another thing too is like if you're looking to meet a bunch of agents in a short amount of time, again, when I started, open houses were pivotal to my success. I would turn and burn and pop into open houses like a crazy person. I still go. I take my mom, she's like the best wing person. You can hit 15, 16 open houses in 3 or 4 hours, and I can figure out like, hey, this person is someone I'd actually want to work with. And then again, it's just having a consistent follow-up plan. So if you don't have a budget or a big budget at all, it's a great way to go in there, and you already know that they want to work. They're sitting open houses. So don't knock that either. Like if you're like, hey, I haven't had 15 meetings this week, but I want to meet agents, go pop in. That's totally okay.
Rachel, oh, sorry.
I have
Go
a
ahead,
question.
Ayala.
When you go into those open houses, what do you say to the agent when you walk in? Do you introduce yourself? Do you say that, hey, I'm a business, what do you say? What's the verbiage?
So honestly, it's not to deceive them, but I don't introduce myself right away because I want to see how they interact with me, right? So
Okay.
if I go in there and I say, hi, I'm Rachel from VIP Mortgage, and I want your business, the wall goes right up. But I want to see how they talk to you, because honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've met someone and I'm like, I would never do business with that person. But I wouldn't know that until I see how they interact with people. And so normally it just comes up in conversation, like, hey, we have a lot of activity on the house, like when are you guys accepting offers? And they'll say, are you a real estate agent? And I'll say, no, I'm actually a lender, but I think it's awesome that you're, working out here. I'm always looking for properties, which is true. My mom backfired on herself because she ended up buying a house 3 weeks ago that we saw at an open house. So, it's just one of those things where it comes up naturally in conversation. And again, it's not to deceive. I would never lie to someone about being a loan officer or a business development rep, but I kind of want to see what the interaction looks like too, just so I can see if they're a good fit for me. And sometimes they're not. But one of the things that I use a lot too is like, hey, do you care if I take pictures of the house? Like, it's got a really cool pool and I'd love to share it on my social media. And then I tag them. So now they see like, oh, you're already making an effort to promote my property and me. That's something that I use too. And then just send a thank you card. And I would say if you go into 10 open houses, we'll just use it for round numbers, and you get a meeting with 3 of them, guys, that's a win. That's a 30% conversion rate. So that was something I heavily did when I first started. And I also went on home tours. So if your area has local home tours, those are a great way to meet some agents. We've got some here in Phoenix that are agent run, but allow affiliates like a lender. And our agent run ones have 200 plus agents at them. And you have to ride with an agent if you're, going on tour, which is kind of, finding out about open houses. Trulia, Zillow, as much as they're not accurate on pricing, they do have open house information, so you can use those. And then Trish, I'm going to come back to you in just a second to have you talk about how you've done open houses, because I know that's a strategy that you use. Real quick, Crystal, when you have your first meeting with a realtor, do you specifically ask to do business with them in the closing, or does it come up in the follow-up? It depends on the agent. I kind of feel it out too, like when they're talking about things that they struggle with, I'll just say, how has your lender relationship been so far? What would you look for in an ideal lender partner? And we could have that conversation. I definitely have at the second meeting when we do the business planning, I just say, listen, I'm going to dump a lot of love and time into you. And I told you at the very beginning, I'm here for a partnership. If there's anything that I'm not doing to your satisfaction, do I have your word that you would tell me? And I'll do the same for you. And then if they're not sending business, you can go back and say, listen, we had that conversation about how we're a partnership. Haven't seen leads, and I know we were working together on a lot of things. Where could I improve, or how can we strengthen our relationship to make sure that we're working with each other on a consistent basis? So it depends. I mean, it just depends on how you want to do it, but I do have some sort of mention of a partnership, but not necessarily saying, hey, do you have any leads today? Because it's the first meeting and I don't want to scare them off. But yes, we will do a full session on open houses and prospecting, so don't worry about that. Real quick, we have 5 minutes left, so Trish, I'm going to have you talk a little bit about what you've been doing in Florida, because I know that it's been really successful, and it's a little bit different style than I do with open houses. So I think it's important to hear different viewpoints, and it's not just Rachel knows all of it, because I can learn a lot from you guys too.
Yeah, so I'm kind of new in the area itself too. So I'm starting off brand new in the industry, brand new in the area, and I just walk in and I introduce myself. I'm Trish from Foster Team at Advisors Mortgage, so that they know exactly who I am, so they're not, you know, and I just I bring a little goodie bag with me and a little information about what we cover, because I don't know all that shit, you know? I mean, so I just, you know, a little sheet about what we do and everything, and if they ask about rates, I do tell them I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't looked at them today. They change all the time, so I'm not even gonna talk to you about rates. If you wanna talk rates, please call Greg. And then I just start talking to them. Like, oh, what a great listing. Oh, are you originally from Florida? And like, I went and I kind of feel like I should count some of my open houses as meetings, because like I look up and I schedule my afternoons through open houses, and I end up getting stuck at one open house for an hour talking to these people. And so like one of them actually led to a lead. The guy called literally before I walked back into the office with a lead for himself. And then the other one, we have a meeting set up on Thursday from last week. So I just talked to them. Like, what a great place, how'd you get the listing? And especially everybody down here is transplanted. So when I tell them, I'm just trying to get to know the area a little bit better. So that's one of the reasons why I'm stalking all you guys. And I mean, a lot of the people, I have met some very, very qualified agents this way. Like the two one that gave us the lead and one that I have the meeting with this week. But a lot of them are, I guess, like junior agents on a team. But like now there's one team, I've run into so many of his team members that I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable, like calling him and saying, hey, I keep running into all your agents. They're fantastic. I would love to have a meeting with you. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
I love that. I mean, you can definitely count. If you're there for more than 15 minutes, count it as a meeting. And then
like I had
follow-up.
I had 4 open houses planned for, I don't know, a couple of days ago. I ended up only at 2 because I spent so much time with the agent. So, and I'm trying to work, one of the things that I am trying to work on is the follow-up after that. So if I'm treating that as a meeting, and like I walked out of the one open house, she had texted me before I got to the car, oh my God, it was such a pleasure meeting you. So I didn't even have time to get to my car and text her. So I'm trying to work on my follow-up and like, okay, I got the card, I got the text. There was an agent, I dropped something off in her office, and I ended up meeting the other people on her team and her assistant. So I thought that was kind of good. But I'm trying to really work on the follow-up.
That's awesome. And like I said, we're going to talk follow-up next week. So you can use that from agent meetings or open houses. And we'll just have that consistent feedback. Good job. Keep doing that.
I'm getting more success from the open houses than the calls.
Okay. And that's good. I mean, I think, you could do your.
I mean, I've gotten meetings from the calls, but it's been weeks and weeks of calling before I get the meeting. Open house, I walk in, I spend some time, I'm like, hey, you want to grab a coffee next week? Yeah, right, that would be nice. Okay. So I've been able to, kind of flow into a meeting after that as well.
That's awesome. Good job, Trish. Keep it up. All right, we're going to do Eddie, last question, and then we're signing off. Eddie, do you have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I am transitioning from being a loan officer to business development. I've done quite a bit of work as a loan officer with the military here in Washington State. And so this upcoming weekend, I have a couple of military events. One's a yellow ribbon ceremony for the National Guard that was in the Ukraine. And then another one is for an armory. My question to you is that, how do I dangle that carrot in front of that realtor? When should I dangle that carrot about, hey, I'm going to this briefing I was invited to, and you could potentially have several buyers out of this group, ranging from 100 to 50 people, 50 to 100 people, soldiers. So when do I dangle that proverbial carrot? Is that after the second coffee, or should I do it beforehand?
I think after the second, to be honest with you, you don't want to do it too early because then they're, you know, if they're not what you thought they were after the first meeting, now you're like kind of a man of your word and have to say, oh, well, I said I'd send the buyers and you don't trust them. If you're sending buyers, they're now an extension of your reputation. So I would say probably later is better, unless there's someone like you really hit it off with and it's a strategic play. So let's say you meet with like a team leader and they have a team of 20, might be a different story than a one-off agent. But I think use your discretion and think, if I was buying, would I want this person representing me?
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, friends, you guys have a lot of work to do this week, and go out there, crush it. And next week we'll do follow-up. Keep posting in Facebook, and I will see you all later.
Bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.